Well, today is parade day, and so I'm sure a few of you are like, all right, let's wrap this up. Let's go. Yeah, another beautiful day outside. So thank you, Lord, for giving us another great day. And for those of you walking and enjoying the parade, man, may you have a blessed day for that. So as I was thinking about this, there's many thoughts racing through my mind this morning. And it was interesting. Thank you, Alex, for being vulnerable and sharing. That I think that's a powerful way to begin, and just to show the vulnerability that we have in this room and the willingness to be authentic and real. And so, with that, who did the homework? You didn't talk to Dawn about the homework at all?
We always talk about it.
Oh, so you did it. So that's okay. That's all right. You're allowed to talk about that. Anybody else? Talk about the stories? How are the stories coming really quick? This new style that we're doing, and for those of you that are first time, we've been experimenting with this this mindset, or this idea, not a mindset, idea of teaching these stories of these biblical characters in a story narrative format, in a first-person narrative, which I've never seen before. So this is all experimental for me. And so hopefully you guys are enjoying it and getting something out of it, and hopefully talking about it with, somebody that you're with, somebody that you can share these thoughts with. But as I was thinking about this morning, I realized that the story that I'm about to share today is probably one that's you've probably read, you've maybe skipped over, but it's been something that has been on my mind for over a decade, probably around 10 years. I actually started writing a fictional book on it because it has impacted me that much, but I could never finish it. And every time I try to move forward on it, God always kind of stops it, and there's a block. And then a few years later, I learned something new that I hadn't seen before, and it just keeps building. So we'll see if any of that ever comes to fruition. But this is something that, a story that I love. And so hopefully I can give it to you in a way that is powerful. And you got to go? All right, sorry, bro. Aaron, be safe and keep your eyes open, head on swivel, and do all those things. So
same with all of you.
So this story, if you've been paying attention, we've kind of been following the Genesis story and the characters in order. And this is just a continuation of those stories. Last week we talked about who?
It was 2 weeks ago, right?
You're right.
Was it
last week was
wife?
Passover.
Was it Lot's wife?
Lot's wife was in it, but the story was about Lot. Yes, it was from Lot's perspective. Yes. And so this is following that story, chapter 14, and this is the story of the battle of the 4 kings versus the 5 kings. And so it's only like one chapter long. There's not a whole lot in there. But it's one of the things as we've been learning in the Hebrew, there's these little clues, these little hints. And in the beginning of this, it says it's the battle between the 4 kings, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, is the beginning of chapter 14. And have we heard something like that before? Does Shinar stand out? Have we heard about that? What is the land of Shinar? Who was the king in the land of Shinar? We'd have to go back to like chapter 10. Remember that? No? There was a mighty hunter from the land of Shinar who created cities. He created 3 cities. And his name meant get down. What? Nimrod. Nimrod was the king of Shinar. And here we have one of the kings of the 4 kings is from the land of Shinar. Is this the same character? Is this Nimrod again that is entering the picture? Is this the story continuing where the people that are writing the story trying to throw out these little hints? These are the people that are part of this story, that are influential and making things happen. And so as Nimrod potentially is the person of this story and part of the 4 kings, he's part of the armies that plunder this land. Sodom and Gomorrah and all these others. They go and they take battle, they destroy the 5 kings, and they plunder the land. But the story of this chapter doesn't begin in chapter 14. As I said, it begins earlier. And so let's begin this story and see if you can figure out who this character is. We good? All right. So this story begins actually in Babel, in the land of Babel. It begins with the story with a man of faith in a single God. And this man was thrown into a fiery furnace, but he did not die. I watched it as it happened. This man that should have been burned alive in seconds, he survived. The king didn't know what to do. The king was amazed. He was in awe. He was in fear of who this man was. And so in his trepidation, he gave me to this man. He gave me and he said, my servant will become your servant. He didn't know what to do, but he gave me to this man to become his servant. But what this man of God didn't know is that I was more than a servant. I sat at the right hand of my master. I was a servant, but I was also an advisor. I was a military strategist, and I was a spy. I was so close to the king that so many thought that I was actually his son. That's how close that we were. I wasn't given to this man of God as a mere gift, though. I was given to report back. I was given with a purpose specifically to share what I had learned of who this man was back to the king. That was my purpose. And so I left. I left my master and served a new master. But on this journey, we saw many things, and I whispered, or I watched and listened in on the conversations, and I tried to sneak around. I tried to do everything I could to learn more about this man, but there was nothing that I learned that seemed like it was hidden. The man who he said he was just who I saw every day in every conversation and everything that he did. He was the same exact person. And when we got to Egypt, we traveled there a long distance, and my master spoke to me one night. And the words that he was speaking to me were as though he was not speaking, but there was something speaking through him. The God that he continued to talk to and share and teach about was the same voice that I heard coming out of my master. These were the words that were impacting my soul and just taking over every feeling that was inside me. I didn't know what to do. This God was speaking through my master directly to me. And I couldn't bear it any longer. I wept. I confessed. I begged my master for forgiveness for what I had been doing and who I was supposed to be. But he already knew. His God had already told him who I was, yet he embraced me anyways. I begged for his forgiveness, for which he looked at me and said, "It's already been given." It was then that my service to my master changed. The words of his teachings of his God penetrated deep into my soul. Even my conversations with him changed. They became personal. They became honest. They were vulnerable. The depths of our conversation could only be described through the lens of trust in one another. As we saw the very real danger in Egypt and in our travels, he asked me for help. He said, "I need you to create something to help protect the caravan in which we travel. The women and the children, as our community continues to grow, we are more vulnerable to dangers that are outside. There are bandits that will continue to try to raid us and kill us and take our women, take our children, and put them into slavery, and we have to do something to protect them. So I'm asking you, you have ideas. I know where you come from. What do you think we should do?" He said to me. because these bandits, they have no care of life. They will kill us in an instant just for sport. So I thought about this for a while. I wasn't sure what to do. But as I traveled on this journey, there was things that I continued to learn. My master had come to me, which had shown me that our community, our caravan, our group of people was unlike any other. There was no hierarchy where my master was over everything and dictated and told everybody what to do. This was this was different. This was beyond anything that I'd ever seen before. Our master was a master who ruled through service. He was a teacher, he was a sage, and he was a servant. And we followed him out of loyalty and love and respect. And as our community continued to grow, and with more people joining us and more people being born, we were in more danger. Because one of the first things he taught me was that the number one value in his life was hospitality. You see, his tent was open on all sides, and any one of us who had a problem or had struggles, we could come to him at any time of the day and we could talk to him. But it wasn't just us. His tent was also open for strangers. Anyone could come and talk to my master, and he would welcome them in with love, and he would share with them, the reason I offer you bread and milk is because of what God has given me. So let me share it with you. But the danger was still real. The bandits were still a threat. And so we had to find a way to protect ourselves. So I devised a plan. At sunrise, we would gather anyone who wanted to be a part of this group, and we would rise together, we would meet together, and we would pray together to my master's God. He would teach us, all of us, in awe and wonder, the fear of his God, the creator of all things, the creator of existence. He poured his words into us like water and wine, and we consumed them like bread on empty stomachs. We would then train our bodies. We were tasked by my master, or I was tasked by my master to teach everyone in our group what I knew. And so I combined my knowledge of my strategy, of military strategy, as well as the other people that we acquired on this journey and all of their military strategy, and we put them all together into one functioning unit. You see, I was from Haran myself. And in Haran, I was trained and skilled in swordsmanship and shields and spears. And I knew how to fight with brute force. And so anybody from Haran, we trained in this manner. We trained others this way. But then we picked up a lot of Egyptian friends in our travels there. And our Egyptian friends taught me something that I'd never seen before. They could fire arrows and slings, these rocks that you'd put in this leather thing, and they could sling it from a long distance away. And it was like lightning. They could fire it from one place and then move so quickly to another place that you wouldn't know where the next fire was coming from. And it was coming from all directions. They were able to move so fast. My master then, as we ended up in Canaan, he acquired relationships that benefited us as well. There was our Canaanite friends who were Mamre and Anor and Ashkal, and they taught us another way to fight. They taught us how to fight in the hills and in the mountains. I was used to fighting in the plains and the deserts and the sands, but this was new to me. We were able to climb these mountains and these hills as fast as possible and as silent as possible. You couldn't even hear us moving. That's how well they trained us, and we put all of these skills together so that when we were put into a position of danger, we were prepared to protect ourselves from any bandit or raider. But then something happened. The kings, the 4 kings, my old master, came and raided and destroyed so many of the villages that were around us. The 4 kings took my master's nephew. He took him hostage with so many others. So we assembled these men, these fighters, these warriors as avengers for my master. My master leaned on my knowledge, and collectively we strategized a plan never heard of before. We decided to pursue the enemy and attack them at night. This had never been done before. There was no way that we could possibly think this would happen, except for the fact that we had trained so much and so often that we were so close. When we would pray in the morning, we would talk in the morning, we would learn in the morning, we would work our bodies as hard as we possibly could, and we trained together. We knew each other so well, we didn't even have to use words. I knew what you were going to do before you did it. That's how close we were. And that's how we were able to devise a plan that we would actually attack at night. And in front of all of the men, my master pulled me up front and he said to me, "When you came into my house, I gave you a new name. In my tongue, do you know what that name means?" I shook my head. I wasn't sure. It was Hebrew. I was not a Hebrew. I had come from a different language, but he gave me this name, but I didn't know what it actually meant, because all names have meaning, and all names that have meaning have purpose. And he said, it means, my God is my help. And he looked at me and he said, he is your God too, Eliezer. And he will be with you as he is with all of us tonight. And the rest you can read on your own. Who is Eliezer? Before we get into that, before we get into the question and answer, as I really dug into this, there was 4 things that really just came out of the text. And as I was researching this, that I really thought, I need to share this with you. I need to share that as I dug into the man, the fighting styles, the training, all of the things that were a part of this story in the Hebrew that you don't necessarily see in the English text, I wanted to highlight 4 specific things that are important to this community. The first one was the idea of these trained men. In the text, do you know what the text I'm talking about? Should we read the text? It was that Abraham, no, you're saying no? We should read it. All right, let's read it then. It's just really short. Let me pull it up.
What Bible are you using?
The ISR. This is Genesis chapter 14. It's one chapter. Does somebody want to read part of it? Somebody with a loud voice? No? Alex, you saying no?
I'm not reading those words.
Too many hard words. All right, chapter 14, verse 1. And it came to be in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eliezer, Kedoriah, Omar, king of Eliam, and Tidal, king of Goyim, that they fought against Bera, blah, these are the kings, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to go through this. Verse 3, and these joined together in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Kedar, blah, blah, blah. And in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 4th year, Kedorlaomer and the kings that were with him came and struck Rephaim and the other kings, blah, blah, blah. And verse 6, and the Horites in the mountain, and Sephar as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Verse 7, and they turned back and came to En Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and struck all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hatzan Tamar. And the king of Sodom and the king of Amorah and the king of Adam, once again, blah, 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 battled against the other kings, blah, blah, blah. And verse 10, and the valley of Sodom had many tar pits. And the kings of Sodom and Amorah fled and fell there. And the remainder fled to the mountains. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Amorah and all their food and went away. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods and left. And one who had escaped came and informed Abram, the Hebrew, that's important, for he dwelt in the Tabereth trees of Mamre and the Amorite, brother of Ishcal and brother of Anar, and they had a covenant with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother had been taken captive, he armed his 318 trained servants who were born in his house and went into pursuit as far as Dan. And he and his servants divided against them at night and struck them and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is on the left of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods and also back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the woman and the people. And after his return from the striking of Kedolaram, and the kings were with him, the king of Sodom came out and met him at the valley of Shawi, that is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Shalem, brought out bread and wine. Now he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abraham, the Most High God, possessor of the heavens and the earth, and blessed the Most High God, who delivered your enemies into your hand." And he gave him a tenth of all. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the people and take the goods for yourself." But Abram said to the king of Sodom, "I have lifted my hand to Yahweh, that the Most High God, the possessor of the heavens and the earth, not to take a thread or a sandal strap, or whatever is yours, lest you say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men, the lads, in another text, have eaten, and their portion of the men who went with me. Anar, Eshcal, and Mamre, let them take their possessions." What's missing in that text? What's missing in that text that I just said this was about? Eliezer. So how did I get Eliezer from this text?
From all the stuff you said, blah, 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 to?
Blah, 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 yeah. I don't have this up there. I was saving it for time. But the first thing that I was going to put on the board here was in Hebrew, which is very different than English, what does the letter A mean? In English, what does the letter A mean? What? A. It doesn't mean it. It just means A. But in Hebrew, what is the first letter is Aleph. What does Aleph mean?
Ox.
Ox. Very good. It means strength, means power. But what else does it mean? Maybe not mean. What else does it represent?
Number one.
Number one. In Hebrew, letters are words and meanings. Very different than our English text. And so there's a way of teaching in the biblical idea of what's called gematria. And so where you would add up these numbers and they would have meaning. And if you remember when we talked about the Gospels and we started with Matthew and there was 14 generations between this and 14 generations this, and then we learned that 14 had a meaning. It meant Messiah. And so the idea that I'm trying to begin this whole book on Matthew about Messiah through gematria. And so here, there's one number that stood out. What was the number? There was one number in this text. It was the only number. What? 318. 318 trained servants. Well, 318 equals, if you take all the letters, equals the name Eliezer. So Eliezer is in here even though his name isn't mentioned. And so, few of the things that I wanted to share about was, as we were looking at this text, it said that there was 318 trained men, trained servants. The Hebrew is chanechav, which means education, dedication, or training. It also means initiated. What does initiated mean?
Started. You're in.
You're in. What do you mean you're in?
You've done the prescribed tasks to be a part of this group.
Okay, so you're a part of a group now. You've been initiated from something into something else. You are changed. You are different. You are no longer what you were before. You've been initiated, and now this is who you are. Some people would brand each other. Some people would have jerseys or shirts like, this is who I represent. Like, or maybe a way of initiation is baptism, that you were once living this life, and now you are living a new life. You are dead to that life, and now you are a new creature. You are changed. As I thought about in this context, man, I couldn't help but notice, did I forget to put that picture up there? Go back one, would you? As I was thinking, can you go back? Just hit the arrow on the left. Oh, we got technical difficulties again. No, it's not in there. I thought I put this picture, I forgot. So as I was thinking about this, what does it mean to be initiated into a group like this? About a year and a half ago, my son went through boot camp. And in boot camp, there was this last thing that you had to go through. Do you remember what it was called? Remember the name? The Crucible. Another Marine son, father right there. The Crucible is 54 hours of very limited sleep, practically no food, of the absolute worst possible conditions that you are forced to engage in everything that you learned, from fighting to surviving to moving quickly and staying alive for 54 hours. The culmination that you finish up this training with. And at the end, you climb up this half a mile mountain. You have to run up it, with no energy, and you have a 40-pound pack on you, and you end this thing, and you are at the top of this thing, and you are dying, and you line up in formation, and the major or the colonel comes, and he gives you the anchor and the globe, this piece of metal that he puts in your hand, and you have been initiated, and you are now a Marine. And I looked at this and I thought, is this what this means? Whatever training they went through, this hard, dedicated thing that they were so consumed with, that they were now initiated, and their lives were no longer what they were, wherever land that they came from. Now they were a part of this community. They were changed. The word literally means trained fighters in Hebrew. So the first takeaway that I looked at this is the discipline and discipleship that was needed here. These men were trained physically and spiritually. In fact, discipleship is just that, isn't it? It's holistic. It's mind, body, and soul. This is what discipleship is. And this is what it means to love God. Isn't that what we learned when we learned that the first commandment, love the Lord your God with all of your lev, nephesh, me'od? It's everything. It's not just these broken pieces. It's every aspect of your life is what you're supposed to love God with. This is discipleship. The second thing that I learned was agility. Abraham and Eliezer could have given up. They could have said, oh, these 4 kings came and destroyed 5 kings. They're unstoppable. They're undefeatable. It's too big. There's no way that anybody else could do anything, and especially our little group of people. What are we going to do? Instead, they improvised. They said, what strengths do we have? They adapted. What can we use for our advantage? They overcame. They trusted God was with them. As I looked at this, I thought, how often do we go through situations that are beyond difficult and we instantly give up? It's too hard. It's too big. It's too much of a problem. We'll never be able to get through this. There's nothing I can do. In fact, it is what it is. It's our biggest excuse for not doing anything. Yet these trained men said, no, we're learning to change. In fact, the third thing that they learned was terrain and skill mastery. How many people work towards mastering something today. Mastery is the point of discipleship. To master something takes deep focus, which then reveals the interconnectedness, allowing discipline to lead towards wisdom. Wisdom comes from taking deep focus and moving forward and becoming extremely great at this one thing. And once you become great at this thing, all of a sudden, so many other things are generalized, and you have a wisdom that connects all of this stuff together because you've mastered this skill. In fact, Rustin, you sent something out today, didn't you? That said just something just like this. Let's see if I can find that.
Oh,
You said it. I was like, oh my gosh, should I say this? Because you said this. You said, keep your spiritual fire alive, just as the altar's flame is never to be extinguished in the tabernacle. The passion for Yeshua fades without renewed devotion to him. Prioritize your daily prayer, study, and righteous actions. Isn't that what I just said? To sustain a heart devoted to the Father. Feed the flame of your faith so it never burns out. It was like God was like affirming what I just wrote down. How much of us burn out, or we don't ignite the flame, or we don't continue to feed the flame. We just like, I'm too tired today. I'll pray later. Do I really need to read this chapter? Do I really need to talk about Eliezer and Lot with somebody? Do I really need to talk about God and what he's doing in my life? Like, I got so many things I got to take care of. This to-do list is so big. How many of us have the ability to focus on one thing until this beeps? Until the notification goes off. I'm going to read. Oh, ding. Wait, my buddy's calling me, texting me. Oh, I'll get back to that. Oh, ding. Oh, he threw a Snapchat. Oh, should I respond to that? Do I voice? What is it, Nate? Will you voice respond? Yeah. You send it back to him? Turn the damn thing off. You will never accomplish anything in deep focus with this thing on. Turn it off. Shut your emails off. Find a quiet place if you need to. I was reading or learning something from a class that I was taking. This was Peterson. He said, what upward aim are you pursuing? What are you trying to master? He said, wherever your aim is. Wait, let me back up. Discipline leads to mastery. Mastery allows for transformation of the discipline itself. When we focus on mastering something, it's in that focus that we are transformed. We change. The last thing. Oh, wait, before I get to that, there was another one. What upward aim are you pursuing? Yeshua said, the kingdom of heaven is like what?
mustard seed.
Mustard seed? What else?
A pearl of great price, I guess.
What does that mean?
It means, to me, it means peace.
Okay. What else? The kingdom of heaven is like a man who found a great treasure in a land, and what did he do?
Sold everything in the land.
He sold everything. Why? Because that's what his aim was, to have that. The kingdom of heaven is these ideas of what is my focus on and what am I willing to do to get there. Yep. So many of us today lack attention. Our attention's everywhere. ADHD is like blah, 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 blah. But the idea of discipleship is like this idea of focusing all of my attention in this one direction. Can you do that today? I challenge you to try 5 minutes with no distractions, pursuing something and learning something that will change your life. Turn off your phones, turn off everything. 5 minutes. Can you do it?
Especially if you know the reward.
Mm. The fourth thing that I learned in this was the idea of community. I wish the colonel was here. For the night raid to occur, people had to know one another extremely well. There was no comms, no radios, no night vision, no night goggles, no satellites telling you where the enemy was or what your partner over there was doing. The level of trust then had to be beyond intense. They needed to build trust in community. And then to build a community of trust and shared responsibility. But this was the first lesson of Genesis, wasn't it? Adam and Eve was the idea of what? Taking personal responsibility. Cain and Abel was what? The idea of taking moral responsibility. I am my brother's keeper. The story of Noah was what? It's not just about me. I'm supposed to care about my community as a whole. This is the idea that Abraham took those stories and applied them to who he was in his community. Community goes far beyond having just conversations about sports and weather. It's deep, it's hard, it's vulnerable. It's about having someone you trust in your life. In leadership jargon, it's called having a circle of safety. The question that I was struck with at the end of this was, do you have people in your life that define this type of trust for you? Those are my 4 that I pulled out. Questions? Yes, sir.
I was coming with a question for you, and I was going to save it for the end, but since you talked about the number thing, in the Catholic, we're doing, Jesus was resurrected, and so he's on the beach, right? He's cooking the fish. You with me?
Oh, right.
Okay.
It's like,
And here we go.
Surfing?
The number of fish, right?
right, yes.
And I've asked you this question before. Somebody suggested to me it's a number thing.
It is.
Add up the numbers. What you got for that?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It is gematria. It's always gematria. Yeah, anytime you see numbers, there's always some type of gematria applied to it. I'd have to go back and look at it.
think
I don't
it means
remember.
Messiah or something. I don't know.
How many fish was it?
153, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got to look it up.
Yeah, you'd have to look up what's the letter for 100 and then for 50 and then for 3. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'll look for it though.
So just as an aside, serpent, you do the numbers. This is from a rabbi. Mm-hmm. You do the numbers, and you can also replace it with Messiah. Throw that one into you.
Yeah, you've told me that. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
You're just stretching.
I've been watching the 2nd season of The House of David, which is on Prime, if you have Prime, and it so much repeats everything you said, like you've talked about that before, how the Bible repeats itself.
Patterns. Patterns, yes. Anybody else? No questions?
AI said this, I am God.
What'd you say?
I am God is what AI said.
Yeah, I am God. That's what the guy said. I couldn't remember.
Okay. What else? Come on. No questions today?
When did he stop becoming a spy for the king he used to serve?
I don't know. That's the creative license I took. The tradition in the text points to, who is Eliezer. There's lots of hints, but there's no clarification. I add the spy part in because that's part of my fictional story because it makes sense to me. A lot of the midrash and the legends points to that he was either a son or he was, some say, and this was way out there, that he was like one of the giants that was still alive. And so that didn't compute. But it was just as somebody that was close to him. And, why would this king just give him this servant? Is it just out of fear? Or if from my mind, I'm thinking, this guy's powerful, I need to know who he is. So I'm going to put somebody into his camp as a servant, but he's not really. So that's where I got that.
I did read that he was a leader and helped train the 318, which fits perfectly with what you were saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I learned early on years ago about this, which has always intrigued me, is like this is the first special forces type of attack in known history. They never did night raids. That was just, you never do that. And then for like just this small group of people to take on this large amount of army, like there's something deeper to that. So it's always been fascinating to me. Okay. Anything else?
Did you read about the pits that they used?
The tar pits? Yeah, a little bit, but there wasn't a whole lot on that. Yeah, they were just hiding. Yeah. There's probably something more. There's always something more to those little tidbits. There was so much to try to figure out. I could have spent days, weeks. I have spent days and weeks, years on this. So, and every time I go into it again, I learn something new. So maybe we'll turn this into a movie one of these days. All right.
Who will play you?
Yeah, no, not me.
But you could do as good as
Eliezer.
you could do as good as the House of David, I can tell you.
All right. Well, let me send you guys out so you guys can get to the parade. Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the reminder of this story of community. May we use this as an opportunity to turn our full attention to you. May we give you our complete focus. May we strive to be a disciple of you. Convict us, guide us, lead us, Father, as we desire to bring about your will in this place. May your kingdom come and your will be done. Amen.